Hello, everyone. Welcome to the People Strategy Forum. Today, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. I mean, as we know, there's a big tornado that's heading towards Florida and already crippled infrastructure. And so our hearts go out to that location. We've had some of our speakers that are impacted by the situation and are taking care of family today. So our hearts really go out to them. But I think that brings up a pretty important conversation that maybe we should all be thinking about, uh, and that is really preparing our people and taking care of our people in these times. So first, I mean, just to kind of open up that discussion, and this will be a quick one, but I know that there is. I mean, we're thinking about a bad situation going to worse, like what's happening in Florida. I think that it's important for all of us as leaders to kind of think ahead and do some contingency planning during these situations. And let's just start with Howard and Char. I mean,
Yeah.
I imagine that you have family down there. There you have people that are bracing for the impact. How is that going right now?
Yeah, I just was talking to my daughter earlier, and she's not in the direct path, but meanwhile there were tornado sirens going off because the tornado was touching down, a distance from her. So they're prepared, and they're right now. She said it's sunny,
Mhm.
which is kind of bizarre, and sunny and calm, but they're bracing, and they were told to stay. That it's okay to stay in place. It just also goes to show how important communication is during these times. Have clear, open communication and follow the advice.
Yes. Yeah, what about you, Shar? Do you have some friends down there?
Well, yeah. So I have one of my best friends. I live part time in Mexico. She has a condo near my house in Mexico, but she also has a business in Sarasota. So she employs many
Mm,
people in Sarasota, and so they're all evacuating. So she is a business owner. She's got employees in the heart of it. So their houses in the middle of the surge of what they expect 10 to 15 feet or more. She's having to not only expect the fact that her house and her livelihood and her family is being impacted, but also her business is being
mm,
impacted. So sadly, she may lose her business at least temporarily. We know how long it'll take for funding to go to help her reestablish her business, help her employees. So I do think that as I always say, compassion, dignity, and respect of supporting these leaders and businesses and individuals in these severely impacted areas is very vital. Also, I would say that think about, we have workforce, even if we're in Colorado or wherever in the world where we're not seeing these impacts at the time.
mm,
We have other impacts like fires, but we have employees that actually are being, maybe they live in Florida or North Carolina or all those areas, all those states impacted, but also they have family, they have friends, they have loved ones. How do we take care of our employees during these times? And to be sensitive, that people need to maybe watch the news or perhaps keep updated with communication, because we need to support those being impacted. So I do believe that our leaders today need to have a more sensitivity, even if you're not in those areas. So what do you guys think about that thought?
I love the idea. I mean, I know a lot of my clients are doing a variety of different things. I mean, for instance, they have an employee impact fund. So that
yeah.
is so organizations that have people in different locations that are suffering a calamity like this. Uh, the organization will set up a pool of funds where people can donate into. They can donate their next bonus, and a lot of different things that can just help people in need in the organization. Whether it's a normal situation where they're maybe taking care of a loved one, they cannot work for a while, or an emergency situation such as this where there's a fire or a hurricane that frankly they are not able to work for an extended period of time. So I think that's one thing. The other thing that I think I'm seeing organizations do is sometimes it's difficult to send funds directly to an individual, or they may not need that type of help. But often, there's the programs where you can donate, or employees and businesses can donate to emergency services
Yep.
that will help the situation. And so, and doing matching for those programs and things like this is something that is desperately needed during these times where there's funding needs to go to those in need.
Well, I do agree with you, Sam, because in my healthcare world, back during Katrina, I was in charge of emergency command when it came to staffing for our healthcare system, our hospitals. And we had to negotiate the nursing personnel and some of the clinicians to be given the time to go support during Katrina. And yes, I mean, it was impacting our operations because, as you know, we're always dealing with staffing shortages. But if we could be creative and support those employees were very just generous of their time and actually felt very supported by the healthcare system to be able to give them that opportunity to go donate their time. So, and also those need to be coordinated. You can't just let all your, RNs and various things into these states right now, particularly during the disaster moments. But your organization needs to be familiar with partnering with these other healthcare systems to say, how can we help? So I think it's really important.
Yeah, companies need to set up, hotlines and offer employee counseling and temporary housing assistance if they can. Supplies, as you mentioned, Char. I mean, all those things are just so critical. And if companies can't afford it, maybe they can afford to do salary advances for people that are facing hardships. So there are a lot of options.
Well, I do think that, we can go on as status quo, have our little meetings, have our little conference calls, talk about, I shouldn't say little, big things, but what's troubling to me is that we know what's going on in the minds of our employees and we need to acknowledge it.
Sure.
And yes, business needs to go on. We need to talk about these marketing initiatives or whatever we're working on, but let's be sensitive how we're doing these activities in such a dire time.
Right.
Because it doesn't appear as, compassionate when we do these activities when other people are in dire need and going through difficult times.
So not the appropriate time to enforce return to work for people in these areas.
Perhaps, yes.
Yeah, perhaps, yeah. But yeah, and I think that's a good call out, Char. I mean, to really be empathetic of what's going on. I mean, there's definitely times where our employees are sick or they're not feeling well, or there's a natural disaster and they don't have to be in the area that's affected. They may have family there, right? I mean, like many of us, we have friends and family in those locations. That's going to distract us from doing our best work. And during times like this, we need to have leadership with a little understanding and compassion around the situation. First, not being mute about it, making sure that you're reaching out to your people and showing that compassion, showing that empathy, and understanding, because everybody's affected whether they're there or not, for sure.
Well, I also think that it's the senior leaders and how they behave in this time frame when senior leaders come across. Sorry, my dog is coming across as insensitive.
Yeah.
Yes, Aspen, she agrees. But just the mannerisms alone, like not seeming to acknowledge that there's tragedies going on in our nation and our world. Not wanting to talk about the elephant in the room, what's going on, in our society and our world. I think employees are watching our senior leaders very closely. I remember, and I hate to bring this up, but during 9/11, I also was unfortunately in charge of the people side of, even out here in Colorado, the staffing. Our employees were so mentally impacted that some of our nurses were just watching the TVs and not paying attention to their patients during that time because they were so absorbed. Meanwhile, I saw some vice presidents, including my own, just sit in a conference room staring at the TV for 9 hours. And I'm running around trying to figure out staffing, problems with the employee mindset, negative impacts of employees. Even one of my managers that I supported, her husband passed away in 9/11. So not to go back to 9/11, I'm just saying that all of these different incidences, we need to be prepared. We have to be prepared of how we respond to them and how we communicate about them with our employees.
Right.
Mhm.
There should be an action plan in place ahead of any of these tragedies.
That's right. A special action plan. I mean, and so basically, that plan should dictate how the organization is going to take action if something like this happens. It can be a hyperinflation. It can be a fire or any types of things that's going to cause a business interruption or impact on your employees. There should be a plan in place on how your rewards program is going to be affected and be enhanced to support your employees during these times.
I just believe that being a part of the emergency preparedness command center processes, we have thick binders like this about our emergency preparedness programs. We often have command centers, at least, well, healthcare systems probably really more complex in this area. But I think any industry, any organization should have some form of emergency preparedness. I know we talk about it. We do some training a couple times a year. We maybe talk about hazmat and various other things. But I do believe it's something we need to brush off as part of our strategic planning and really think about this, because honestly, we've seen this in the last decade. Well, hundreds of years, of course. But
Yeah.
I think when Katrina hit, I think that's when a lot of systems were like, oh, we really need to pay attention to our emergency preparedness. Well, now look at all the storms and disasters that have happened since then. I think a lot of organizations need to look at their compensation strategies, need to look at their programs, their talent management strategies even more than ever. And I feel just helping their employees feel that safe sense of safety, security, because our employees will not perform if they don't feel that their families, their well-being, their mental health is being taken care of, their financial well-being. And you will not see the productivity that you expect out of your employees.
And I think that brings up another issue as far as the remote workforce. I mean, we've all been flexible before in this way, and we're operating our companies remotely. In a situation such as this, I mean, we need to return to that level of flexibility when some of our workers have been displaced to locations outside the state, and taking care of family and so forth, and be flexible.
It's also being aware of where they are, in terms of reaching out, because they may not be where you thought they were.
Yeah, right.
So do you recommend that HR, compensation, various departments, people-focused departments coordinate ways of communication with their employees to check in, right?
Or they should be reaching out,
Even with the employee that you don't like, nobody would really know. I have a best friend that had to, leave Sarasota, and not that she's my family member, but she's like one of my favorite people in the world. So that doesn't negatively impact me. Now that's a minor example, but imagine those that really do have a sister, a mother. I mean, that's pretty challenging. So let this be a wake-up call for all of us, I think.
Yes. So I think the as we kind of wrap this up, I mean, our big message here for all you leaders out there is to take action. Now, and it starts with communication and empathy, and it's not just to your employees, but also your clients and everybody that touches your business, and to ensure that you're kind of communicating and showing that you're there to help. Now, one thing that you need to be careful of, and this has happened in past calamities, is that sometimes there's a rush to, maybe I should go there, or maybe we should get a team to go help with the cleanup or support. But often you have to be very conscientious of local infrastructure and making sure that you're not adding to the problem and you're actually helping in situations like that. So definitely have that.
Yeah. We were in that situation where we wanted just to send, a busload of clinician or, type of patient care type of people to that particular hurricane. And we had to put on our brakes. We had no idea, okay, that's not helpful. Let's allow that opportunity to really let the infrastructure decide the support that they need and react in that way. We learned a lot, I guess. So I hope that, I'm not working in healthcare today, but I would say I hope that the systems now are thinking of these matters as of right now. And I'm sure it's going to be really challenging. So.
Right. All right. Well, from the People Strategy Forum to all the leaders out there and all the people that are being impacted by the hurricane, our heart goes out to you, praying for your safety and your family's safety and your recovery as quick as possible.
As well as the other states as well. They're recovering from the last hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
Our thoughts are with you as well.
All right.
Stay
Well,
safe,
take care,
everyone.
everyone, and stay safe.